Hey everyone, this is a video to get you moving, even though we're already in the middle of week 3, but to, clue you in on what I'm thinking and why things are the way they are. Okay, so first, I'm in student view right now, or at least what Canvas tells me is student view. Please remember that I still never see things exactly the way you all do. But this is the home page, so I just want to remind you of a few things. Up here, please make sure you check out recent announcements, and you can quickly check by clicking the little arrow next to the title and it opens it up. Um, oh, the formatting on that is terrible. I wonder if you click on it, will it format better? Yes. Okay. Good to know. Good to know. Anyways, announcements. There's announcements there. And things like GCC writing and scholarships, as I get things in my email that I think will be useful to you, and most of the time I just forward most of the stuff the institution gives. I try to post it there, but please make sure you also look for posts like this due date 3 posted from me. Okay, just want to remind you that next to like start here, there's a little arrow. If you do that, it closes it. So that's a way to get rid of some of this. However, all the module 1 stuff stays open. So we're now in due date 3. I'm going to click back over um, to instructor view because I just know what I'm doing from this view better. Okay, so we're in due date 3. And I want to give you a quick tour of what's expected this week. Um, so first and foremost, the observation report, not that you have to turn that in first, but you do need to get it done this week. And remember, that is you have selected a community that you're going to research for the semester. And the observation report is basically you're going to go observe this community in action. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that you're observing people doing things right now. So for example, I know someone was bouncing around the idea of Amazon as a community, and part of me still thinks you can narrow that, but imagine that Amazon shoppers as a community and folks who especially leave reviews. So what you could do is you could observe how people leave reviews and even click on their names, their usernames, and see what types of activities very active Amazon buyers and reviewers do. And it's an asynchronous observation as opposed to a lot of times when we think of observation, we think of a synchronous observation where you go somewhere at a certain time and place and you watch what's happening right then. But some of you, if you're focusing on communities that are web-based communities, a lot of times what you're looking at is you're going to be asynchronously tracing their activities, and that's okay. So the main thing here is that you are going to do this observation and then you're going to produce a report. Please note I gave you a format for the report. That's to make this easier. If you will, this is a mid-stakes assignment. The idea is it's prompting you to do work that builds you towards the genre analysis, but it's important enough, and it's also good to get in the habit that a lot of times when we do big projects like this, we have milestones. And so doing the observation report, collecting the data, and then writing it up in a meaningful way is a milestone. And it is asking, look at the rubric here. It is asking that you, take a moment, run it through spell check, make sure it's not just super drafty. Um, it can be notes, but just make sure it's coherent, if that makes sense. Um, okay, so observation report. That will probably take some of the most time this week because you actually have to go do the observation. Other stuff. So the other 2 assignments explicitly for me, again, these are things that'll take some time. Researching your community is just prompting you straight up, go find information about your community that already exists. And I'm pointing to the big boys, Google Scholar, the library databases. Please check them all. Don't just go to Google. See, you might be pleasantly surprised that there's scholarship about your groups. Gonna just quickly, if you're on or near campus and you have the time, it behooves you. So these are databases with issues, or with disciplines, sorry, not issues. Well, they do have issues too. But I just want to show you, help the librarians. Ask a librarian here. There is a chat, there is email, there is in person, there is phone. So again, I'm sitting here emphasizing going like, hey, you really should check out these library resources. And if that overwhelms you, work with a librarian, and please note that you don't have to be on campus to work with a librarian. Okay, so that's the research you're basically gonna do and go find 4 sources. Hey, let's edit that and make it bold so it stands out. I want 4. Yes, you heard me. 4 sources. Yay. Okay, the next assignment is selecting a genre. So you spent the last 2 weeks really focusing on the community. Now I need you to select a specific genre, so a specific type of writing that that community does. So for example, um, if you were if you were focusing on elementary school teachers, genres you might do are lesson plans, IUP, so that's independent, basically independent um, study, independent teaching plans for students, um, teaching philosophy, teaching portfolio, a lot of potential genres there. So what I did is I gave you links out to various lists of genres. I'm not saying these are the only genres. I'm just giving them as an idea for you to think about what type of genres your community produces. I talked about things like reviews at Amazon. I know a couple folks were talking about potentially online gaming communities. I confess I do want written genres, alphabetic text genres. So I would prefer, if at least this round you don't do videos. So like the gaming community has amazing, you know, showing and telling videos of how to play the games, but there are dialogues and reviews of those videos going on, and there's also tip sheets and stuff like that. So again, um, just because the genre is not listed here doesn't mean you can't select it. If you have questions, please feel free to email me, but also I'll be eyeballing as you submit your 2 to 3 specific genres and then help one another narrow those down. Now, the last 2 assignments for this week are actually assignments required by the Department of English as a part of their assessment program. So one is a writing assignment and the other is a test. So the writing assignment, you basically write this email about explaining an absence, and then you take a test about various writing skills. Um, Please note you do earn points towards the class for these assignments. I do need you to do them. And just FYI, you will do post assessments again towards the very end of the class. Um, and uh, and the grades are not compared on a student level, they're aggregate compared on a course level. So don't think that you will get credit for doing this, um, and doing your best. You know, you do earn up to the points, but please realize that the reporting out of the assessment is not the reporting out of you as individuals, it's the reporting out as the class as an aggregate. Okay, the last thing I just wanted to say, let's uh, let's open it up so it shows up, and there we go. I am going to attach the PowerPoint that actually at the bottom here includes brief descriptions of what each of these literacies are. And I will end by saying, please notice I used the phrase each of these literacies. I would argue all of these are a literacy. So for here, the MRI brain scan, yeah, you have to be a doctor, and you even have to be a doctor who specializes in this to potentially be able to articulate that this is REM sleep and non-REM sleep. You have to have detailed working knowledge of what it is, what it looks like. You know, music. If you play music, you can read this. If you don't play music, you can't read this. But what's really fun is when you realize that the song is Three Blind Mice, you start to be able to, you potentially are able to read, you know, three blind mice, see how they run. You can start to see it if someone starts to translate it for you, right? So yes, I'll be posting this with the answers, if you will. But the main thing I just want to say is these are all literacies, and what they show is that almost all communities of practice, you know, football, athletics, have their own literate practices. And part of becoming an insider, becoming a member of that group, is to become familiar with this and what this means. Um, I forget. This is a famous play, so if someone knows it, please tell me what it is. I think someone said it's a blitz once. I don't know. So if we have football players in the class, show your expertise in literacy. Okay, thanks everyone. Have a good week.